For years, Craig Melvin has been a steady presence in American living rooms, calm under pressure, thoughtful in delivery, a journalist whose voice feels familiar, even comforting. Viewers see the finished product, the polished anchor, the measured questions, the reassuring smile. But what they rarely see is how much intention goes into staying that grounded year after year. Because behind every composed professional is a private routine, and behind Craig Melvin's routine is an unexpected mentor, someone who quietly changed the rhythm of his days, and in many ways, the direction of his life. This mentor wasn't a network executive or a legendary broadcaster. There were no formal meetings, no contracts, no grand announcements. Instead, the influence came gradually through conversation, observation, and example, the kind of guidance that doesn't shout but stays with you. It began during a period when Craig's schedule was relentless. Early mornings blurred into long days, the news cycle never slowed, and the pressure to be both present and perfect weighed heavily. Like many in demanding careers, Craig had grown used to pushing through fatigue, convincing himself that rest could wait and balance could come later. That's when this mentor entered his orbit. The person, described by those close to Craig as grounded, disciplined, and deeply reflective, noticed something others overlooked. Not Craig's success, but his pace, the constant motion, the absence of stillness. And in a moment that would later feel pivotal, the mentor offered a simple observation. You're doing meaningful work, but you're not giving yourself space to live inside it. It wasn't criticism, it was concern. At first, Craig brushed it off. Like many professionals, especially of his generation, he believed hard work was the answer to almost everything. But the words lingered. They echoed during early alarms and late-night reflections. And slowly, they began to reshape how he approached each day. The mentor didn't suggest radical change, no dramatic career pivot, no sweeping declarations. Instead, the guidance focused on routine, the quiet architecture of daily life. Start the morning differently, the mentor suggested, not with headlines, not with email, not with urgency, but with intention. Craig began waking up just a bit earlier, not to work, but to think, to breathe, to create a pocket of calm before the world came rushing in. A few minutes of stillness became a form of grounding, a reminder that the day belonged to him before it belonged to anyone else. Then came movement, not punishing workouts or rigid goals, but simple consistency, walking, stretching, being present in his own body. For a man who spent so much time in his head, processing stories, preparing questions, this physical awareness became unexpectedly transformative. But perhaps the most significant shift came in how Craig approached time with others. The mentor encouraged him to protect moments that didn't produce anything measurable. Family dinners without distractions, conversations without an agenda, even silence shared with the people who knew him best. For viewers in their 60s and beyond, this lesson feels familiar and deeply earned. Many remember learning, sometimes too late, that productivity is not the same as purpose, that a full calendar doesn't always mean a full life. Craig's mentor seemed to understand this truth intuitively and passed it on gently, without preaching. As weeks turned into months, the changes compounded. Craig became more deliberate, less rushed. Colleagues noticed a difference, not in his performance, but in his presence. He listened more closely, responded more thoughtfully, and perhaps most importantly, he allowed himself to step back when necessary, understanding that longevity required care. The mentor never asked for credit, never framed their role as transformational. In fact, they resisted the word mentor altogether. They simply showed up, consistently, modeling balance, curiosity, and restraint in a world that often rewards excess. And that, Craig would later reflect, made all the difference. This relationship reshaped not just his mornings, but his mindset. It reframed success as something sustainable, not something to be chased at all costs. It reminded him that wisdom often comes not from those who speak the loudest, but from those who live with quiet clarity. Today, Craig Melvin remains a trusted voice, still dedicated, still driven. But beneath that familiar professionalism is a routine built on intention, guided by lessons learned off-camera. For those watching who've navigated decades of work, family, and responsibility, this story resonates because it reflects a universal truth. It's never too late to learn from someone unexpected. Never too late to adjust the rhythm of your days. Never too late to choose a life that feels not just successful, but well-lived. Sometimes the most powerful mentors don't change what we do, they change how we begin each day.